Good evening, everyone. Good night. Good day. All depends on when you are receiving this, when you are reading this. Happy Holy Week to you all once again. I'm taping this on Holy Thursday, the Mass of the Lord's Supper, but it is meant for the entire Easter weekend. Everything culminates with the death and resurrection of Christ, and that's what that gives meaning to our celebration this weekend. Want to focus on the use of a certain term that you may notice over the Easter Triduum. That's the use of the term witness. It occurs in Acts chapter 10. You're going to hear that reading on Easter Sunday morning. The word witness features very prominently. Acts 10:39 mentions, and we are all witnesses to all that Jesus did in the country of the Jews and in Jerusalem. And in verse 40 it says, God raised him on the third day and made him manifest, not to all the people, but to us who were chosen by God as witnesses. The word witness is defined as someone who saw an event take place, as we all know. And typically the term is used either in court or at the police or by the police at the scene of a crime or an accident. The whole purpose of a witness is to gather creditable evidence. And there is such a thing as a false witness. That is why in court a person swears to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Well, in the Bible, both in the Old and New Testament, witnessing was very serious business. The 9th commandment, for instance, warns us about bearing false witness against our neighbor. And in the book of Leviticus, all kinds of stipulations are drawn up to qualify one as a good witness. Witnessing, in fact, is seen as a kind of a forensic tool. It's something that is used to try to get to the truth. So that important legal agreements required a witness, as in Deuteronomy 31:19. The Mosaic law insisted that in all cases before a judge, especially in criminal court, it was necessary to have 2 witnesses to make good an accusation against a person. And certain persons are not qualified to be witnesses, including the relations of the accuser or the accused, which makes a lot of sense, friends and enemies, which makes even more sense, slaves, those not of age, and women were not accepted as witnesses either. So it is interesting that at this point in the Easter readings, the word witness features, as I said, very prominently, because in a sense we have a case before us. It is not an accident or a crime scene, but it is a baffling one nevertheless. A man claimed to have died and risen from the dead. No one had ever done this. Now, this is not Lazarus, who was raised by someone else and who eventually died, who had to face a second death. No, this is someone who rose from the dead in a new body, a resurrected body, one that will not die again. That's the whole issue of the resurrection. In fact, it's more accurate to refer to Lazarus and the 2 other cases of rising from the dead in the New Testament as resuscitations, not as resurrections. And notice the care and attention and detail that we have in the witness account in John 10, which is our gospel reading this weekend. In a court of law, this is how you decide whether an eyewitness account is accurate or not. We are told in John 20 that 3 persons saw the scene at the tomb. Mary Magdalene, who came to the tomb while it was still dark, we are told, John and Peter. And John reached first because he could run faster. Then we are told all kinds of little details, that the cloths used to wrap the body were there on the ground, very much intact. And that says something. If it was grave robbers who came and who took away the body, they would not leave the cloths. A dead body was of no value, but the cloths used to wrap a dead body was very expensive. All right, so it says something that we're talking about something else here. We are not talking about grave robbers. So this is the eyewitness account. Take it or leave it. Draw your own conclusions. This is what the witnesses had to say. Is it a trick, or did something extraordinary take place? This is the Easter event. This is what we celebrate this weekend. And why is this so important? Well, because Jesus is not important merely because of his teachings and who he was. Born in Bethlehem, changed water into wine and all that wonderful stuff. We talk about that all through the year. This Easter event is something a bit different. It says that Jesus is not only important because of his ethical and religious teachings, but also because through his resurrection, he takes on the role of intercessor and advocate. Let me repeat that. Jesus is important not only because of all his wonderful ethical and religious and doctrinal teachings, but also because through his resurrection, he takes on the role of intercessor and advocate. If not for the resurrection, we would still be dead in our sin. His resurrection also assures us that we too will have a resurrected body like his. So the resurrection puts a whole new spin on our faith. We are people of the redemption. Do we know that? We are people of the redemption. Ephesians 1:7 says, "In him we have redemption through his blood, the forgiveness of sins in accordance with the riches of God's grace." Ephesians 1:7. And that is what it is. We are children of the redemption. And forgive me for sounding a little bit Pentecostal at this point, because I think that fact needs to be emphasized. And I want to use 1 Peter to talk about what it means to be a child of the redemption. 1 Peter says that you are a chosen people. That's the first fact of the redemption. That's the first fact of being a child of the redemption. You are a chosen people. Number 2, you are a royal priesthood. Number 3, you are a holy nation. Number 4, you are God's possession, that you may declare the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his wonderful light. My friends, that is what we celebrate this Easter. God has called you out of darkness into his wonderful light. You are church. You are children of the redemption. And we are called on to give witness and to live that fact in our lives. That is my challenge to you this Easter weekend. Give witness by your lives as children of the resurrection. God bless you all. Have a happy and holy Easter.